Have you ever noticed that the moments your life truly changed, nobody clapped? There were no fireworks lighting up the sky. There was no grand announcement on social media. There was no standing ovation from your friends or family. The shift happened in a split second, a tiny silent click deep inside the architecture of your soul. It was as if the universe quietly turned a master switch in the dark. And in that breathless moment, you knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that you would never be the same person again. Most people, especially those just beginning their spiritual awakening, have been conditioned by Hollywood and society to believe that change must be loud. They are waiting for a big bang event to rewrite their destiny. They are waiting for the lottery win, the viral moment, the public recognition, or the undeniable miracle to descend from the clouds. But I am here to tell you that is not how the Matrix 963 breaks. Real power is silent. Real shifting is invisible. If you are watching this right now, I know something about you. You are feeling a strange pressure building inside your chest. You feel the intense urge to change your life, to escape the loop of mediocrity. But at the same time, you feel an overwhelming instinct to hide. You want to disappear. You want to withdraw from the noise of the world. Do not fight this instinct. You are not depressed. You are not antisocial. You are being prepared for the silent shift. This is a sophisticated quantum technique that the Chosen One uses to exit an old timeline of struggle and enter a new timeline of sovereignty without triggering the immune system of the Matrix. It is the art of moving through the walls of your reality. In this deep dive broadcast, we are going to dismantle the addiction to external validation. We will explore the quantum physics behind why secrecy creates power, the neuroscience of subconscious reprogramming in the dark, and why your biggest breakthrough depends entirely on your ability to keep a secret. Stop talking. Stop proving. Stop trying to convince the sleepwalkers that you are awake. The door is open, but it only admits those who know the password of silence. The shift begins now. Chapter 1: The Addiction to Noise. Let's begin by deconstructing the trap we have all been born into. The trap of noise. From the moment you entered the school system, you were conditioned to show your work. You were taught that a thought is not valid until a teacher grades it with a red pen. An achievement is not real until a parent applauds it at the dinner table. A life is not lived until it is posted, shared, and liked online. We have become a civilization addicted to noise. We are addicted to the feedback loop of external validation. This addiction is the primary reason why 99% of people fail to manifest their dreams. When you start your journey of spiritual awakening, the ego, your old identity, the avatar created by the Matrix, tries to hijack this process. You have a realization. You decide to manifest wealth. You decide to heal your trauma. And what is the very first impulse you feel? You want to run to your friends, your family, or your partner and scream, "I am going to change. I am going to be rich. I am finally waking up." You post your New Year's resolutions. You talk about your business ideas at parties. You seek encouragement. You seek a witness. But have you noticed the tragic pattern that follows? Usually, nothing happens. A few days after the announcement, the energy dissipates. The fire goes out. The motivation leaks out of you like air from a punctured tire. Why does this happen? Is it a lack of discipline? No. It is a misunderstanding of energy mechanics. Psychological studies have shown that when you announce your goals to others, your brain releases a premature spike of dopamine, the reward chemical. Your brain is tricked into feeling the satisfaction of achieving the goal just by talking about it. Because you already feel the reward, your biological drive to actually do the hard work evaporates. You tricked yourself. You accepted the cheap currency of social validation instead of the gold standard of actualization. Furthermore, the energy of proving belongs to the 3D matrix. It is a dense, heavy vibration. When you feel the compulsive need to tell people about your shift, you are essentially asking for their permission to change. Subconsciously, you are saying to the universe, "I don't believe I am the chosen one yet. I don't believe I am powerful, so I need these people to verify my existence." But here is the brutal truth that no one wants to admit. The people around you, even those who love you, are anchors to your old timeline. They know you as the old you. Their subconscious minds hold a rigid blueprint of who you are: limited, struggling, and predictable. When you announce your new timeline to them, their doubt, their skepticism, and even their realistic advice acts as a psychic attack on your new seed. You are exposing a delicate microscopic sprout to a hurricane of collective doubt. True power does not leak. It accumulates. Think of a steam engine. It works on the principle of pressure. If you leave all the valves open, the steam escapes into the air. It makes a loud hissing noise, but the train doesn't move an inch. But if you close the valves, if you seal the container, the pressure builds. The heat intensifies. The energy is contained. And that contained pressure becomes the unstoppable force that moves tons of steel down the track. Silence is the valve. If you want to perform a quantum manifestation, you must stop using your energy to tell the story and start using it to write the story. You must become comfortable with being misunderstood. You must become comfortable with being invisible for a season. Because in the quantum realm, invisibility is not a weakness, it is a superpower. Chapter 2: Quantum Physics of Silence. Some of you might think this is just philosophy, or perhaps poetic advice. It is not. This is physics. Hard, cold, quantum physics. To understand why silence is the absolute key to shifting timelines, we must look at the experiment that shattered our understanding of reality. The double-slit experiment. Decades ago, physicists discovered a phenomenon so baffling that it challenged the very nature of existence. They found that when they fired subatomic particles, the fundamental building blocks of your reality, through two slits in a barrier, the particles behaved in a way that defied logic. When the scientists were not watching, the particles behaved like waves. They went through both slits at the same time. They interfered with themselves. They existed in a state of infinite possibility. They were everywhere and nowhere at once. This is the state of superposition. This is the realm of pure potential. But the moment the scientists placed a sensor to observe or measure which path the particle took, everything changed. The wave collapsed. The infinite possibilities vanished instantly. The particle snapped into a single, solid, fixed position. It became matter. The act of observation collapsed the potential. This is known as the observer effect. Now, I want you to apply this law to your own destiny. Your future, your dream life, your financial freedom, your spiritual awakening exists right now in the quantum field as a wave. It is in a state of superposition. It is fluid. It is forming. It is malleable. It has not yet hardened into fact. When you talk about your dream too early, when you expose it to the eyes and minds of unawakened people, what are you doing? You are inviting them to be the observer. You are placing a sensor on your own quantum wave. And what are they observing? They are not observing your potential. They are observing you through the lens of their own limitations. They are observing you through the lens of the past. They look at you and they see the person who always fails, or the person who is broke, or the dreamer. Their observation carries energy. Their doubt acts as a measurement device. And because we are all connected through quantum entanglement, their observation literally helps to collapse your quantum wave back into the old particle, back into the old reality. You are trying to fly, but their heavy gaze is chaining you to the ground. This explains the phenomenon of the evil eye found in ancient cultures. It wasn't superstition. It was an intuitive understanding of the observer effect. This is why the Matrix 963 teaches the path of the hermit. By keeping your intentions silent, you protect the wave function. You allow your dream to remain in the state of infinite potential until it has gathered enough density to materialize on its own terms. You bypass the observer effect of the collective consciousness. You create a reality bubble where the only observer is you. And because you are the chosen one, your observation is the only one that matters. When you observe your dream in silence, visualizing it with total faith and intense emotion, using the law of assumption, You are the sole authority collapsing the wave, and you collapse it into the timeline of your choice, not the timeline of your parents, your friends, or society. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is the quantum shield that protects your creation code from being corrupted by the virus of the Matrix. Chapter 3: Rewiring in the Dark. Let's go deeper. Let's move from the quantum field into the biological machine that you inhabit. Let's talk about your brain, your nervous system, and the absolute necessity of darkness. We live in a culture that worships the light. We worship the spotlight, the visibility, the scene. But nature, the ultimate teacher, shows us a different truth. Where does a seed germinate? In the deep, dark, crushing weight of the soil. Where does an embryo develop? In the absolute darkness of the womb. Where does a caterpillar liquefy and transform into a butterfly? In the dark isolation of the cocoon. Creation, true creation, always happens in the dark. Your spiritual awakening is not just a mental shift. It is a biological rebirth. You are literally growing a new nervous system to handle higher frequencies like 963 Hz and theta waves. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity. Your brain is physically changing. It is pruning old synaptic connections, the old habits, the old trauma, the old addiction to struggle. And it is building new highways, new neural networks that support the identity of the master, the creator, the wealthy one. This process is energy intensive. It requires massive amounts of focus. When you are constantly social, constantly explaining yourself, constantly seeking validation in the light of the public eye, you are directing your energy outward. You are starving the transformation process happening inside. This is why you might be experiencing the dark night of the soul. You feel lonely. You feel cut off. You feel like the world has forgotten you. You might think this is a punishment. You might think you have done something wrong. No, this is the greatest gift the universe can give you. The universe has placed you in quarantine. It is not a punishment. It is an incubation chamber. You are being isolated so that you can perform subconscious reprogramming without interference. Think of your mind like a house that needs to be rewired. If you try to rewire the electrical system while the power is still on, while the lights are blazing, and while people are running around having a party, you will get shocked. You will fail. You have to turn the power off. You have to work in the dark. You have to work in silence. In this silence, you are not alone. You are with your creator. You are with your subconscious mind, the genie that grants your wishes. This is where the real work happens. Not on Instagram, not at the dinner party, not in the boardroom, but in the quiet moments before you sleep, in the solitude of your morning coffee, in the moments where you choose not to react to the chaos. You are laying the foundation of a skyscraper, and the rule of architecture is simple. The taller the building, the deeper the foundation must go into the dark earth. If you build high without digging deep, you will collapse. So if you feel invisible right now, do not panic. Do not force your way back into the light. You are simply a root growing deep. And the deeper you go in silence, the higher you will eventually rise in the light. But to do this effectively, you need more than just isolation. You need to align your signal. You need to master the broadcast of the heart to communicate with the field. This leads us to the technology of coherence. Chapter 4: The Coherence Signal. Now that we understand the physics of observation and the biology of the brain, let's talk about the transmission mechanism itself. If silence is the shield that protects your dream, what is the weapon that manifests it? It is a state called coherence. Most people believe they communicate with the universe through words. They pray, they beg, they write endless lists of desires. But the quantum field, the matrix of all reality, does not speak English or Spanish or any human language. It speaks frequency. And the strongest generator of frequency in your body is not your brain, it is your heart. According to groundbreaking research from the Heart Math Institute, the heart generates an electromagnetic field that is up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain's. This field extends several feet outside your body, constantly interacting with the quantum soup of reality. Here is why noise kills manifestation. When you are running around, telling everyone your plans, seeking validation, arguing your point, or trying to prove you are the chosen one, your heart rhythm becomes jagged and irregular. You are broadcasting what scientists call incoherent waveforms. In spiritual terms, you are broadcasting static noise. You are telling the universe, I am desperate, I am lacking, I am trying to convince myself. And because of the law of assumption, the universe, which acts like a giant mirror, reflects that chaos back to you. It gives you more things to be desperate about. But when you enter the silent shift, something physical changes in your biology. You withdraw your energy from the outside world. You stop leaking power through your mouth. You bring your focus inward. In this profound silence, your heart rate slows down. Your breath aligns with your heartbeat. Your nervous system switches from survival mode to creation mode. You enter Heart-Brain Coherence. This is the state of the creator. It is a laser beam of intention. In silence, you don't need to shout, I am rich, to prove it to your skeptical friends. You simply feel the warm, golden gratitude of abundance expanding in your chest. You don't need to post, I am happy, to get likes. You simply feel the vibration of joy dancing in your cells. This silent knowingness is the loudest roar in the quantum realm. Think of the difference between a beggar and a king. A beggar screams for attention. He makes noise because he feels invisible. A king sits in silence. He does not need to speak to prove his authority. His mere presence commands the room. As you go through your spiritual awakening, you are transitioning from the energy of the beggar, seeking external power, to the energy of the king, generating internal power. Silence is the language of the king. When you hold your vision in silence with absolute emotional certainty, you are creating a magnetic vacuum in the ether. Reality has no choice. Physics dictates that nature abhors a vacuum, so the physical world must rush in to fill that vacuum with the manifestation of your desire. But to reach this level of mastery, to hold this frequency without wavering, you must first pass through the gateway of emptiness. Chapter 5: The Void and the Dark Night. I must warn you, this path is not for the faint of heart. When you commit to the silent shift, when you stop engaging with the distractions and the noise of the matrix, you will encounter a phase that terrifies the unawakened soul. You will hit the void. Suddenly, your life will become very, very quiet. Friends might stop calling. The drama that used to entertain you feels empty. You might feel a profound, aching loneliness that seems to have no source. Society calls this depression, but in the context of spiritual awakening, this is the dark night of the soul. It is not a punishment. It is a biological and spiritual detox. Imagine a computer undergoing a complete operating system update. It has to shut down. The screen goes black. It cannot run the old programs or play the old games while the new code is being written. You are in the shutdown phase. In this silence, your demons will come out to play. This is inevitable. When you are distracted by noise, by work, by social media, by gossip, you can ignore your trauma. You can push your shadow self into the basement. But in the silence, there is nowhere to hide. Your insecurities will scream, "You are a failure. You are alone. This isn't working. Go back to the old life." This is the test of the chosen one. The matrix is trying to scare you back into the noise. It wants you to pick up the phone, to scroll, to seek a dopamine hit. Do not do it. Instead, do the shadow work. In the silence, sit with the monster. Look at your fear, look at your shame, and say, "I see you. You are just a program from the past. You are not me." The void is not empty space. It is fertile soil. It is the 0-point field where all creation begins. Every moment you stay in the darkness without panicking, you are burning off lifetimes of karma. You are actively performing subconscious reprogramming by refusing to react to the old triggers. The universe has placed you in quarantine. Think of it as a protective bubble. You are being isolated so that you don't get infected by the virus of mediocrity while your immune system is upgrading. Use this time. If you try to rewire a house while the electricity is still on and people are running around, you will get shocked. You have to turn off the power. You have to work in the dark. In this silence, you are not alone. You are with your Creator. You are with your true potential. And inside this cocoon of silence, you have access to a secret bridge. A bridge that opens only when the conscious world is asleep. Chapter 6. The Theta Bridge. If silence is the environment for change, then theta waves are the key to the door. Your brain operates on frequencies, just like a radio. During the day, you are in beta state: stress, logic, analysis, survival. In beta, there is a guard dog at the door of your subconscious mind. This guard rejects any new idea that doesn't match your current reality. If you say, "I am wealthy," while in beta, the guard looks at your bank account and says, "No, you're not," and rejects the command. But there is a twilight zone, a magical window of time where the guard goes to sleep, but you are not yet unconscious. This is the theta state, 4 to 7 hertz. It happens naturally twice a day, precisely as you are drifting off to sleep and precisely as you are waking up. This is the chosen one's secret laboratory. While the rest of the world uses this time to worry about tomorrow or to check their notifications one last time, literally hypnotizing themselves into anxiety, you will use it for sleep hypnosis. Because you are practicing the silent shift, you have saved your energy all day. You haven't wasted it on arguments or proving yourself. Now you direct that concentrated energy into a quantum command. As you lie in bed, in the dark, in the silence, visualize the outcome. Not the how, but the end. Feel the texture of the handshake. Feel the weight of the steering wheel. Feel the cold metal of the ring on your finger. In theta, your brain loses the ability to distinguish between imagination and reality. It accepts the visualization as a real experience. You are planting the seed of your new timeline directly into the core of the matrix. You are rewriting your hard drive without the password. And then you drift off to sleep. While you sleep, your subconscious mind, which controls 95% of your reality, will work all night to align your vibration with that command. It will reorganize your biology. It will reorganize your magnetic field. You wake up and you are different. You don't know why, but you feel lighter. You feel shifted. You feel a strange sense of certainty. This is how you change without effort. This is how you change in silence. You are literally dreaming your new life into existence. But to keep this connection strong during the day, when the noise of the world tries to return, you need a tuning fork. You need a reference point. Chapter 7. The 963 Hertz Alignment. Why do we call this channel the Matrix 963? It is not just a brand name. It is a coordinate. It is a frequency address. In the ancient solfeggio scale, a lost musical scale used by monks and mystics, 963 Hertz is known as the frequency of the divine. It is the frequency of the pineal gland activation. It represents the return to oneness. It is the sound of the universe before it was fractured into the illusion of separation. The world you live in, the 3D matrix, operates on a dissonant frequency. It is full of fear, separation, competition, and noise. When you engage in the silent shift, you are unplugging your consciousness from the 3D station and tuning in to the 963 Hz station. You are aligning with the frequency of truth. When you are silent, you can finally hear this frequency. It doesn't sound like a tone in your ear. It feels like intuition in your gut. It manifests as a sudden knowing. It manifests as the voice of your higher self guiding you. Go left. Call this person. Start this project now. You cannot hear this guidance when you are busy talking. You cannot hear the whisper of the universe when you are screaming for attention. By aligning with 963 Hz through silence, you become a clear channel. You stop forcing reality, and you start channeling reality. You become a vessel for the divine intelligence to act through you. This is the ultimate state of spiritual awakening. You are no longer a human trying to be spiritual. You are a spirit mastering the human experience. And when you reach this alignment, strange things start to happen. The reality around you begins to glitch. The invisible shift starts to become visible. But how do you know if it's working? What are the signs that you have successfully jumped timelines, even if your bank account hasn't changed yet? In the next chapter, we will decode the secret language of the shift. Chapter 8: Signs of the Invisible Shift. Now comes the question that haunts the logical mind. If I am shifting in silence, and if no one around me notices, how do I know it is actually happening? How do I distinguish between a quantum shift and a delusion? Because you have withdrawn your energy from external validation, you no longer have the applause of the crowd to tell you that you are winning. You are flying blind, or so it seems. But in the quantum realm, there are markers. There are subtle, invisible coordinates that tell the chosen one that the timeline has indeed fractured and reassembled. These signs do not look like fireworks. They look like glitches. Here are the 3 definitive signs that you have successfully executed the silent shift. Sign number 1: the unreasonable peace. This is the most terrifying sign for the ego, but the most beautiful sign for the soul. Suddenly, in the midst of chaos, perhaps your bank account is still low, or your relationship is still ending, you feel a sudden, inexplicable wave of calm. It makes no logical sense. Your mind tells you, you should be panicking, look at the problems. But your heart is resting. This is not apathy. This is vibrational detachment. It means your consciousness has detached from the 3D projection, the problem, and anchored itself in the 4D reality, the solution. You are no longer reacting to the echo of the past. You are vibrating with the certainty of the future. You feel like an actor who has read the script and knows that the hero survives the movie, so the dangerous scene no longer scares you. This unreasonable peace is the biological signature of the law of assumption taking root. The subconscious has accepted the new command. Sign number 2, the loss of interest in conflict. As you shift timelines, your frequency rises. Low-frequency activities, gossip, political arguments, petty drama, needing to be right, suddenly feel physically repulsive to you. You used to spend hours trying to convince people of your point of view. Now, you just don't care. You realize that arguing is a leak. It is a hemorrhage of the precious energy you need to build your new world. You might find yourself sitting at a dinner table while others complain about the economy or the news, and you feel like you are watching a TV show. You are observing it, but you are not in it. You are in the world, but not of it. This sense of alienation is not a bad thing. It is proof that you are entering the void between timelines. You have unplugged from the collective hive mind. Sign number 3, the reality glitches. When you hold a secret frequency of 963 Hz inside a 3D world, the matrix begins to malfunction around you. You will start to see impossible coincidences. You think of a specific book, and someone hands it to you an hour later. You need a specific amount of money, and a refund check for that exact amount arrives in the mail. You look at the clock, and it is always 11:11, 2:22, or 4:44. These are not random numbers. These are the binary codes of the universe winking at you. The universe is saying, I hear your silence. I am arranging the bridge. These glitches prove that your internal silence is screaming loud and clear in the quantum field. But be careful. When these signs appear, the temptation to talk returns. The ego wants to say, look, a miracle, I did it. Do not speak yet. The concrete is still wet. If you walk on wet concrete, you leave footprints that ruin the finish. You must hold the silence until the manifestation has hardened into undeniable physical fact. So, how do we maintain this discipline? How do we keep the valve closed when the pressure is building? We need a protocol, a daily code of conduct for the invisible master. Chapter 9, The Protocol of Silence. Knowing the philosophy is not enough. You need a strategy. You need a set of rules to navigate the matrix while you are pregnant with your new reality. I am going to give you the protocol of silence. This is a 7-day challenge designed to build maximum quantum pressure inside your vessel. If you can do this for 7 days, you can shift anything. Rule number 1, the alchemical seal. For the next 7 days, you are forbidden from speaking about your biggest goal to anyone. Not your best friend, not your spouse, not your mother. If you are manifesting wealth, do not complain about bills, but also do not brag about your business plan. If you are manifesting healing, do not talk about your symptoms, but do not talk about your new diet. Neutralize your speech. Imagine your mouth is a seal on an alchemical flask. Inside that flask is the gold of your future. If you open your mouth to leak the energy, the gold turns back into lead. When the urge to share comes up, and it will come up strongly, take a deep breath. Swallow the words. Feel that energy go back down into your solar plexus. Feel it burning. That burn is fuel. Use it to take action, not to make conversation. Rule number 2, the act as if in private. Most people try to fake it till they make it in public. They buy expensive clothes they can't afford to impress strangers. This is ego. This is noise. The chosen one acts as if in private. When you are alone in your bathroom, how does the wealthy version of you brush their teeth? Does he rush? Does she worry? Or does she take her time, savoring the moment with dignity? When you are eating lunch alone, do you eat like a victim, scrolling frantically on your phone? Or do you eat like a king, tasting every bite with gratitude? The universe watches you when you are alone. That is the only performance that matters. Use the silence of your privacy to rehearse your new character. Embed the law of assumption into your posture, your breathing, your micro movements. Be the king in the bathroom, and you will eventually be the king in the boardroom. Rule number 3, the sleep hypnosis ritual. We discussed the Theta bridge earlier. This is your nightly appointment. For 7 nights, as you fall asleep, you will not review the day. You will not plan tomorrow. You will loop a single scene of your fulfilled desire, a scene that implies it is already done. And you will do it in silence. No posting Day 1 of manifesting on Twitter. Just do the work in the dark. Let your subconscious mind, the great architect, work on the blueprints while the world sleeps. By keeping this process contained, you create a pressure cooker effect. Thermodynamics tells us that if you heat a gas in a sealed container, the pressure rises exponentially. Your desire is the gas. Your emotion is the heat. Your silence is the seal. By the end of 7 days, the energetic pressure will be so high that it must blow open a hole in the 3D reality. It must manifest. But what happens when the pressure breaks through? What happens when the first physical evidence arrives? This leads to the final phase, the phase where the universe starts talking back. Chapter 10: Preparing for Synchronicity. When you execute the protocol of silence correctly, you stop broadcasting static noise. And when you stop making noise, you can finally hear the music. You will enter the phase of synchronicity. Carl Jung defined synchronicity as meaningful coincidence, but for the Matrix 963, it is something more specific. It is the feedback loop of the quantum computer. It is the universe saying, "I have received your silent command. I am now executing the code." You will start to see the bridge of incidence. This is a concept from Neville Goddard. It means that the path to your goal will not look like a straight line. It will look like a series of strange, unconnected events. You might miss your bus, and because you missed your bus, you meet a stranger, and that stranger recommends a book, and that book contains the idea that makes you a millionaire. If you were still in the noise, you would have complained about missing the bus. You would have been on your phone, ignoring the stranger. But because you are in the silence, you are alert. You are watching. You recognize the glitch. You realize that the bad luck was actually the universe rearranging the chessboard to let you win. This is the ultimate power of spiritual awakening. You stop fighting reality and you start dancing with it. You realize that every person, every delay, every accident is a potential messenger. But to read these messages, you need a code book. You need to understand the language of numbers, of symbols, of dreams. The universe is trying to have a conversation with you right now. It is screaming at you with numbers like 1111 and 963. It is whispering to you in your recurring dreams. But most people are illiterate in this language. They see 1111 and say, "Oh, cool," and then go back to sleep. The chosen one sees 1111 and stops. They know a portal is open. They know a download is available. You have learned how to be silent. Now you must learn how to listen. Because the next phase of your evolution is not just about manifesting things. It is about decoding the instructions for your mission. The butterfly effect. We have journeyed deep into the architecture of silence. We have explored the physics of the observer, the biology of the brain, and the alchemy of the soul. You now understand why your life hasn't changed yet. It wasn't because you weren't trying hard enough. It was because you were trying too loud. You were letting the steam escape. Today, I am handing you the key to the invisible door. But I cannot turn it for you. You must make the vow. You must be willing to walk through the fire of the dark night of the soul without screaming. You must be willing to hold your dream in the dark until it is strong enough to face the light. Remember the butterfly effect. A butterfly flaps its wings in silence in Brazil, and it causes a tornado in Texas. Your silent shift, that tiny internal decision to change your identity, is the flap of the butterfly's wing. It seems insignificant. No one sees it. But in the quantum field, it is generating a hurricane of abundance that is currently traveling toward you. Don't stop it by talking. Don't stop it by doubting. let the hurricane come. If you are ready to disappear from the old timeline and reappear in the new one, if you are ready to become the invisible master of your reality, I want you to leave a mark in the digital record. Scroll down and comment the code, "I move in silence." Do not write, "I will try." Do not write, "I hope." Write, "I move in silence." Let this be your binding contract with the universe. Let the algorithm know that you have engaged the stealth mode of creation. But remember, once you enter the silence, the synchronicities will begin. The numbers will appear. The glitches will multiply. You might start to question your sanity. You might wonder if you are imagining things. You are not. You are just starting to see the code of the simulation. But what do these codes mean? When you see 1111, what is the universe actually saying? Is it a warning or a welcome? In the next transmission, we are going to crack the code. We will dive into decoding synchronicity, the secret language of the Matrix. We will reveal why you keep seeing these signs and how to use them to navigate the bridge to your destiny. You do not want to miss this. Subscribe to the Matrix 963. Turn on the notification bell. The signal is getting stronger. Shh. Listen to the silence. That is the sound of your new life beginning. Welcome home, chosen one.